Hi everyone. Now am I sideways? They're all saying I'm sideways. I don't think I'm sideways now. But we're just waiting for Paul, who's of course got some technological whatever's happening. But he's gonna come on in a second, and I'm really excited to share. Oh, there, that's Paul. I'm gonna let Paul. Is that Paul? No, that's you, Danica. Introducing yourself. See if you can get Paul to figure out how to. We got him all set up, and then we didn't show him how to join the Facebook Live. But in any case, he's about to be here. But in the meantime, you can see many of my fellow grievers have been out in this yard with me, and have seen a lot of the embodiment work that I've been doing. And grief yoga has been a huge part of that for me. I was introduced to Paul through his partner, which many of you may know, David Kessler, who is a grief expert and has written, I think his book is The Finding Meaning. Paul will be able to tell us, but it's going to be so that's a great book. But I met Paul through David, and he does sort of, while David does more of the emotional and intellectual aspects of grief, Paul does more of the, hold on, I'm just going to turn this down so we don't have to listen to them. Paul does more of the physical aspects of grief, which I've been really into because I can intellectualize till the cows come home. That's not a problem for me. But it definitely becomes a problem when it comes to sort of allowing that to move through my body and making sure that I don't get sick. And I like to speak in a more positive way, although for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to be direct here. But, you know, after my mother died, which was the worst grief I'd ever experienced prior to this, you know, I went right to the more spiritual realm, and I grieved a little bit, but I also just really was in a hurry to feel better. Grief is messy. This is messy. Life is messy, so we're not going to stress about it, and we're going to get to this in a minute. But I was telling you how important I think the body work is, because as someone who's always been up in her head and in the more intellectual realms of things, finding meaning for things, finding signs, you know, all those things that are super important, and I don't mean to diminish that. That's a huge part of grief. But in the case of my mom, I kind of really focused on that. I didn't even want to be in my body. In fact, that's usually where I don't want to be. Because it hurts and I have a long practice of not being in my body. So about a year after my mom passed away, within a year I had breast cancer in the same breast she had breast cancer in. So here, I'm going to walk away while they figure this out. So I know that, I mean, I was in my early 40s, so I know that that was in large part because I did not allow myself to be in my body. And of course, my body manifested all of my grief, all of my pain, and I just wasn't going to do that again. And so I was really committed this time, because this was bigger and wider than anything, still is, anything that I've ever experienced before. So I really wanted to, you know, do it right. My mother, when she knew she was terminal and only had a few months to live, she said to me, you know, I may not have done lots of things right in my life, but I am going to die well. And I hear myself saying that again to myself in this way. I may not do a lot of things right, but I'm really going to try to grieve well. Hold on, we're still trying to, oh look, there's David. I'm going to show you them on Zoom so you can see what we're dealing with. Can you see them? They're all trying to get him into the Facebook Live. But in the meantime, we'll just chat. You guys tell me if we're going to get into the yoga in a second. It's very gentle. Everybody can do it. He's actually going to be teaching it in the form of chair yoga so that there's not even a question on how to accommodate depending on your fitness level. And so I think that's going to be really helpful. Obviously, you can make it more intense or less intense. But during a time like this, and I know lots and lots of people here are from the Parents for Safer Children group who have lost children, but lots and lots of you are just from my regular Facebook page or social media in general, or just follow me and you heard about this. So I think it's important to say that obviously you don't have to be in the worst grief of your life or even technically grieving right now in order to benefit from this, because we're all grieving something right now, whether it's a lost job, a lost relationship, lost freedom through the pandemic, financial losses, health. Process this. And you can't really do it intellectually. I mean, you can, of course, you have to, but you can't only do it intellectually. You have to do it energetically and physically as well. So I'm going to look at some of your comments. Lillian is here. She says, "This is my first time. I don't know anything about yoga." They're saying they're having a hard time joining. I can't hear you. No, Paul. I can only hear you on Zoom. So yoga is, an ancient form of physical meditation. I mean, pretty much every town you hear about yoga. It's a wonderful, I've always been really attracted to yoga as a clinician who deals so much with sexual dysfunction because it's so good for your mind and body and strengthening your pelvic floor and gentle ways of strengthening and lengthening your body and getting back into your body, which for many of us, including me, is hard. But I had never done grief yoga before working with Paul. Let me just check. Are we getting closer? Oh, they're still trying to add him. I'm really sorry, guys, for the delay. So with grief yoga, what he does is he takes you through mechanisms and he has a book coming out soon and lots of courses online too. But he takes you through a process of releasing, integrating, and awakening in a new way. Anyone who has had a huge loss, if you're not processing it and allowing those emotions to move through your body, it's really easy to get sick. But more importantly, it's really easy to get stuck. And believe me, my eyes, you can see my eyes are still swollen. I was bawling maybe 3 days ago, but and couldn't stop crying. But 3 days later, it was that bad. I'm still swollen. It's not easy to be in this body for any of us right now. It's much easier to get the hell out of it and to go up in our minds and to be somewhere else. And what I love about grief yoga is that it's a gentle way to kind of move into this space in a way that's not threatening, that's even sometimes silly, and is healing at the same time and releasing at the same time. Let's see, we have, Sherry Lundquist is here. She says she did grief movement training with Paul, and that was when she was grieving the loss of her husband, and that because it's physical, it's so important to allow grief to move through the body. They're working on it. I can hear them in the background. Tracy says she lost her mom suddenly 3 months ago. And you do, Tracy. She says she feels like she's been catapulted onto a different planet. And it does feel that. It's a different planet because you're walking around in the world and the rest of the world is living their lives, And it's weird because life isn't the same without that person here anymore. And just to wrap your head around life without them here is kind of astounding and hard to hard to wrap your head around. So all of the emotions, you know, you hear about the 5 stages of grief, which are real, but they aren't really stages in the linear sense. They're more like states, you know, and you go all over the place. It's not a straight line. It's zipping and zooming and swirling. And you know, someone was saying to me the other day, and I was saying, you know, it almost feels like backtracking, but it's not backtracking, because like I had gone through profound sadness and pain, and then, you know, moved into a more peaceful place, released a lot of that, moved a little bit more toward acceptance, and then a few days later found myself deep into pain and grief again. But it feels like a deeper level of grief, like a more, definitely deeper and more profound, because I'm not in as much shock anymore, which helped buffer some of it, I think. But also, I think it's more in myself. You know, it's like deeper into myself. So it's almost like, I don't mean to make it seem like I'm circling the drain, even though it looks that way, but it's almost like grief is a circle, and you're moving closer and closer and closer to your center, and discovering things along the way. Here's Sherry, who says she's a death doula. I'm so fascinated by death doulas, which is basically just like a birth doula who helps the mother and the baby, helps the baby be born into the world, cares for the mother, cares for the baby in the very beginning, and while the baby is gestating. A death doula basically does the same thing as people are dying, terminal, or know that they're dying, obviously. But you know, I used to tell my dad's caretaker, because he died 2 summers ago, I used to tell him he could be a death doula, because he was so good at supporting all of us through the loss. And then there are people on here who, you know, like Denise, who are dealing with grief, not of anyone per se dying, but the death of their relationship. In Denise's case, she says she had an unexpected divorce after 20 years, and is realizing things that, you know, which is understandable about her relationship as a result. You know, and that's a big part of it, whether it's losing a relationship or a job or a friend, not even through death, but just through breaking up, so to speak, or even losing someone through death. There are so many realizations. It really changes the way you view yourself and your relationships and the world. And I think for me, the most important thing is to do it authentically, as you're seeing. You know, it is not pretty, and I have not been pretty through this. But it's really important to me always to be as authentic as I can be, but certainly through this, because there are so many of us struggling. And the one thing that was really shocking to me, and maybe I came to the table a little bit predetermined to not be in the taboo, because I talk about sex for a living, and you know, there's not much that shocks me or embarrasses me, probably because of that. But it was kind of surprising, and it shouldn't have been. I mean, it makes sense, but it was kind of surprising to me how self-conscious so many people are about talking about their grief, or that they're supposed to be fine, or they're not supposed to be breaking down, or, you know, they're not supposed to be a hot mess, that somehow they deserve judgment if they are. And, you know, if I'm doing anything through this process, I certainly want to give you the tools that are working for me so that we can all benefit from them. But I also want to make sure that you know that this is something that is natural and really normal in many ways. I mean, maybe not losing a child, of course, but loss. It is beautiful in a crazy way, you know, terrible beautiful, but it's beautiful. And it's, to me, like the other side, not even the other side, but like, and it's directly related to love. Because how much you grieve someone is directly related to how much you love them. And I think about that all the time when I'm deep, deep, deep in the bowels of grief, that it's just equivalent to the depth of love that I have for my boy. And the more you love someone, or the more you loved your life, or the more you loved that job, or the more you loved that relationship, the harder it's going to be to lose it. And I think pretending that everything is hunky-dory when it's not is what makes us sick, you know? That and just not being home with ourselves. But I can tell you it's been many times that I have struggled to be, because it's so, you know, I've spent my life up here. And I can go there very easily, you know, psychologists call it intellectualizing, right? I can just talk about my feelings and talk about things abstractly and find all sorts of philosophical meaning, but I'm not really feeling it. And that was a strategy that I developed, and many of us developed early in life, just to survive some abusive situations and things that were too painful to stay present for. So survival required, it's just our natural instinct to like leave the building, right, and go somewhere else in our minds. And that's a great strategy. I mean, I'm not knocking that. There is a time and a place for that. But then that can become habitual and something that we do automatically whenever things are stressful or painful, which once again isn't necessarily a bad thing, except when it's something that really requires your physical release, because the body does keep the score. That's the title of a great book, The Body Keeps the Score. I'm blanking on the author, but it's a great book about how important embodiment is. And it talks a lot about the science of, you know, where emotions are literally stored in our body. And, you know, like Cindy here is saying that she's an empath, that she takes on others' grief and pain on top of my own. I have a podcast coming out soon on the language of love, Cindy, with Anita Morjani about her new book, Sensitive is the New Strong, where she talks about empaths and how to protect yourself from everyone else's energy, how not to absorb everyone else's energy, because it's very common. And if you didn't have a great, you know, in many cases we love, many parents on here who lost their children, or people who love their spouses who have died, you know, it's hard, right? But what if you didn't have a good relationship with them? There's a lot to work out there too. And I see Loricetta says that her mom and she did not have a close relationship. She died in September and they hadn't spoken. You know, you can still speak to her. You can write her a letter. You can speak to her. I mean, I wrote Sammy a letter. He died obviously very suddenly and before I could say goodbye. And I actually put it on a YouTube video I compiled of my makeshift retreat I did for myself at 1440. But I wrote Sammy a letter, just telling him how I felt and that I would never forget him and how much he meant to me. And it really helped. It really felt like, and then I tore it up and I buried it under the mother tree in the redwoods. But it helped. Mark also is saying he lost his 18-year-old 3 months ago to same thing. I'm so sorry, Mark, to an accidental overdose with fentanyl. Yeah, it really is a weapon of mass destruction. Same thing with Louise. And many of you are saying that, you know, you're still grieving, and many of you are saying that you have found it makes you stronger, you know, and not right away, obviously. You have to heal first, but I feel that way. I feel like I can feel myself in the mire right now, and it feels sometimes like it's never going to end, but I also can see the end. You know, I can't see the end of the tunnel. I shouldn't say that. I can feel the end of the tunnel. I know that, and I know from experience when I do this right and why I allow myself to grieve, that I come out the other end stronger and wiser and more attuned and more connected and with a deeper understanding of things. And that's what I'm most hoping, not only for myself and my family, but for you all too, that if we do this without running from it, without staying stuck, without leaving ourselves, if we do it with integrity and with consciousness, that we come out the other side stronger and wiser. Yeah, here's the title. Thank you. The Body Keeps the Score. The subtitle is, thank you, Melissa is weighing in here. The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. It was written by Bessel van der Kolk.
Hi, this is Paul Denniston coming live on Laura Berman's Facebook page. And I am here to share and offer a grief yoga chair class. Go ahead and get comfy and find a place that you can do this from. For those who were here earlier, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. And it was just a great reminder to see how messy grief can be. And grief is not linear, and it can just kind of go all over the place. So I know that some people are just slowly coming on right now. So welcome. I'm Paul Denniston, and I'm just going to do a grief yoga chair class here. Great, people are coming on right now.
Ask them where they're from or something.
Yeah, feel free for the people who are coming on right now to let me know where you're coming from. Would love to know where you're coming from. And let's see if I can see where the chats are here, about where I can see people's chats. Okay. Let me just take a moment and share with you a little bit about who I am. So I grew up in Texas, and my father was the preacher of a Southern Baptist church in Sugar Land. I always say that my daddy was a preacher in a church in Sugar Land. My mother was a Christian school teacher, and growing up trying to express grief was not looked at very well. I think that people thought that, maybe a lack of showing grief could seem like a lack of faith. And so I was never really able to express challenging emotions. And yet I also saw how my parents modeled grief, whether it was my father who would suppress it and try to avoid anger until it would all of a sudden explode and become frightening, or whether I witnessed it within my mother, who, she didn't attend her mother's funeral, and I could see how she regretted that, and how she isolated and wouldn't allow people to see her grief. I would witness how it would come up for me too personally, about how either I would have also outbursts of anger because I had suppressed so much inside, or whether it turned inward and I would be very cruel to myself. Coming from a place where I did everything I could to try to numb the pain, whether it was using drugs or alcohol or sex, I did find that when I went into a yoga class, because I was trying to tap into something that could create a little peace, all of the things that I had suppressed for so long, that I was holding on to inside of my body, came up for me to be present with and to move with. And so as I became a yoga teacher, one of the things that I did was I created a practice that used grief as fuel for healing. I think that sometimes we teach what we need to learn, and I do believe creating a compassionate space to hold grief can be a very powerful thing. But I also became very fascinated with how you can channel struggling, challenging emotions, and to help us to connect to more love, more grace, more gratitude. That's David, my tech person. Thank you very much, David. It's good to have a tech person when you're doing these things. So there you go. So I see so many people have come on right now, and we're going to begin in just a moment. I'm going to share with you, I'm doing this right from my chair, but I see a lot of people right here who are coming in from Colorado and Ontario, British Columbia. Beautiful. Okay. So take a moment here, and I'm just going to show you, this is my chair. I'm going to do it right here from, you can do it from a yoga mat, but I'm going to do it right here from my chair. And I'm going to go ahead and begin us on this little bit of an experience. So first, I invite you to just take a moment and place your hand on your belly and your heart. Just take a moment right here and breathe, okay? And just notice your breath and observe the space around you. Just start to look around you at different colors and textures. And see if you can just release a little bit of your to-do list and just observe colors and textures around you. And notice your breath. Just take a deep inhale and exhale. Go ahead and release your hands down to your knees. I'm going to use a little bit of sound. Sometimes we get blocked in our throats. Take a deep inhale. Just sigh it out, whatever happened today. Just good. Let's do that again. Take a deep inhale. Let the sound a little more. Good. And again, take a deep inhale. Maybe the sounds sound a little different. Lightly lick your lips and just come back to your natural breath, breathing in and out through your nose. I see that Laura Berman has joined us, and thank you for being here. Thank you for all of those who are writing comments in the comment section. Feel free to continue to write within that, or just start to tune into your body right now. Feel where you're touching the earth. Maybe wiggle your toes around and move a little bit here from side to side, and forward and back. And see if you can find your center right now, feeling your feet grounded, and just feel your sit bones on the earth. Just bring your hands to your belly. A lot of the times within grief and loss, we lose our sense of power. And so I really am inviting you in this space to find your center here. And notice your breath. We're going to move into a moving meditation. I invite you to bring one hand to your heart and allow the other hand to hold that hand there. And see if you can just tune into your heartbeat for a moment. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you would like to dedicate this practice to a loved one who has died, with your eyes closed in your mind's eye, I invite you to picture that person, someone that your heart misses. See them in a happy time in their life, the glow of their face as they look at you with love. I invite you to say their name out loud. Angel. Feel your heartbeat. Observe your breath. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Bring your hands right in front of you. Start to create a little warmth, a little fire, a little friction right here within the palms. And then allow the prayer to come right to your heart center. Relax your shoulders down and feel like a string is lifting the top part of your head up. We create a space right now to release any pain and any struggle to connect us to more love. Take a deep inhale and exhale and release your hands down. Let's begin to just warm up our body. I invite you to bring your ear to your shoulder, and then chin to your chest, opposite ear to shoulder, and just begin to create some large circles right now within your head. Go real gentle as we just warm up our body. And I invite you to move in the other way, large circles in the other way. And perhaps if you'd like to, as you rotate your neck, just use a little sigh. Just good. And then slowly come back to center. We're going to start to flow a little bit with the breath in this moving meditation. Inhale, float your arms up. And then exhale, hands come down. Just keep moving at your own pace. And recognize that I'm just your guide within this practice. If there is any physical pain that you experience at any point, then pull back and rest. But if there's an emotional struggle, I'm going to invite you to move forward and start to inquire within, what can I move through here using movement, breath, and sound? Good. Next time your hands are in the air, just hold them there for a moment, but just sway a little bit here from side to side. And feel your feet grounded, feel your sit bones in your chair. And I'm going to gently begin to warm up the spine. Inhale. Exhale, bring your left arm down and you'll let your right arm stretch over. And just take a moment here and breathe into that side body. Sometimes it's possible to literally stretch and move through the grieving process. Inhale, reach your arm up. And then exhale, allow the other hand to come down. And just find a stretch on the other side. Keep breathing here and opening up your side body. I invite you to just start to flow back and forth here, almost as if you were moving through liquid or air. Next time your hands are in the air, hold them right there. And then exhale, create a heart offering. Elbows down, heart opens. And then inhale, reach the arms back up. And exhale, sweep your hands then down by your sides. Just flow a little bit here with me. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, open your heart. Good. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, palms down. Keep moving here. So sometimes when we experience grief and loss, it's normal to feel stuck and for our breath to become shallow. So we're finding a new way to move as we deepen the breath and get connected into our body. Good. And slowly, when next time your hands are in the air, hold them right there. And then bring your hands right down to your shoulders, fingers forward, thumbs back, and just begin to draw large circles with your elbows. Sometimes we carry a lot of tension in our shoulders and neck. And as we start to open up the shoulders, we're also kind of opening up the chest. Sometimes our shoulders can start to cave in to protect a wounded heart. And so we're just going to give ourselves a little space to open. I invite you to move in the other direction, large circles in the other way. Good, and next time your hands are at your sides, elbows are parallel to your shoulders, and then just begin to lightly twist from side to side. Notice your breath. And recognize this is a twist that you take at your own pace, just almost as if your body was like a washing machine, kind of rinsing out toxins and impurities. Good, and slowly coming back to center. Just allow the chest to go forward. Exhale, round the spine back. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, round your spine back. One more time. Good. All right, we got connected to the body. I invite you to come right here. Just bring your hands right to your opposite arms. And I want you to recognize that if at any point you're feeling overwhelmed, this is your safe space to just come back to right here. Massage your arms and just tune into how you're feeling right now in this moment. Good. All right, now I'm going to invite you. You can keep that right there if you want, or I'm going to start to use a little more powerful breath and sound. I want to invite you to channel the pain through in powerful ways. And so let's get connected a little bit to our strength. Bring your fists right to your belly. Okay? I invite you to inhale 3 quick breaths through your nose and then exhale powerfully out the mouth like a cannon breath and push your fists in towards the spine, okay? So first, exhale all the air out of the mouth. Inhale 3 quick breaths through your nose. Exhale. Good. Clear out stale oxygen and air. Again, inhale. Exhale powerfully. Again. One more. Good, and then shake it out through the hands. I invite you to bring your thumb and index finger to touch. Again, 3 inhales through the nose, but this time we're going to start to use a little movement here. Inhale through the nose, bringing the fingers in, out, in, and then back behind you. Again, inhale. Exhale behind you. Again. One more. Good, and then just begin to shake it out through the hands. Shake it out. Bring your hands right here together. And now shake it out through the jaw. Just kind of. We get tense in our jaw. Let's begin to shake it out through the jaw. Good, and then begin to shake it out. All right. I'm going to create a little bit of a spark. I'm going to create a little bit of a fire because we're going to learn how to channel pain through. But first, we're going to start to channel it. Okay, so bring your fists right here to your heart and just begin to punch out in front of you and use equal inhalations and exhalations through your mouth. Kind of like. Keep going. And this can be a little bit like you're going to start to channel and move pain through. Sometimes it's almost like punching out false beliefs about yourself. Whatever it is, maybe this is about channeling anxiety. Just keep punching out in front of you. Good. All right. Now, I invite you, interlace your fingers together right here in front of you. We're going to now create a little bit of an energy burst. We're bringing oxygen in. We're creating a spark to release pain. But first, inhale, lift the arms up. And then exhale, bring it down. And this time, let the breath come in and out through your nose. We're learning how to manipulate this breath, this life force energy to help us to release pain through. Good. Okay, now keep your hands right here. I'm going to invite you, pretend like you're holding like an imaginary axe in front of you, and there's a piece of wood that you're going to chop. And I'm going to invite you to just chop that piece of wood. All right? So take one moment here. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. Inhale, lift the arms up, and then powerfully chop. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale through the nose, up, exhale down. Just keep going a couple more times. Okay, now take a moment as if you were seeing a piece of wood right in front of you. And that wood is a symbol of whatever that struggle and that pain is that you are experiencing right now. It lives in your body, but we're going to imagine as if it were a piece of wood, and we're going to learn how to chop it, okay? This is a great place to release struggle, anger, anxiety. I invite you to inhale, lift the arms up over your head, and then powerfully out your mouth, lift the arms down. Keep going here. Three more. Good. And release your axe and shake it out a little bit through the hands. Just take a moment and come back right here where the arms are and just breathe for a second. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. And again, a deep inhale and a deep exhale. I think that there can be a primal need sometimes to want to know why. You know, why did my child have to die? Why him? Why her? I don't think we're ever going to get a satisfying answer to the why, but sometimes just by expressing it, it can allow some of the pain to move through. With this technique, I invite you to just lift your hands up with the palms facing you, and you just say the words, why? And if you want to lift this up with anger, why? You're welcome to do that. Whatever needs to come out here, sadness, anger, whatever it is, all you have to do is just say the words, why? Keep going. Why? 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 Three more here. Why? 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 I invite you to bring your hands right here in front of you, as if you were holding the pain here, and perhaps this represents the things that you need to release and let go of. Just hold your fists tight right now for a moment with dynamic tension, and take a deep inhale. Let it move through you. Release it with the hands in front of you. And again, inhale. Release it in front of you. One more. I invite you to just come back for a moment. Come back and place your hands on your heart. If you dedicated this practice to someone at the beginning, connect back to that person again and say their name here again out loud. Angel. Take a moment and bring your hands right here and just start to massage your arms. And tune in, is there any types of regrets that you're holding on to right now? Maybe I should have done this. If only I would have done this. Or maybe this is just about things that are just weighing heavy on your mind and your body. I invite you to just grab a weed in front of you, and maybe you connect a little bit to that thought. I should have done this. Just hold it there for a second. And then throw it up over your head and let it go. And then with the other hand, just grab it and connect to that. Or maybe you feel like you should direct this to somebody else. You should have done this. Hold that tight. And then throw it up over your head and let it go. Keep going back and forth. Whatever the weeds are in your life, just clear. Just take a moment here. Shake out through your hands. Just shake it out a little bit here. And come back and just begin to massage your arms again. Take a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. And I invite you to bring the top parts of your fingers to your chest and your heart and lightly tap your chest and heart for a second here. I invite you right now to just say, I am, and complete it however you want. And I invite you to allow the vulnerable, hurt part of yourself to be expressed here. Maybe it's I'm sad, I'm overwhelmed, I'm angry. Can you allow the painful part of yourself to be expressed? I'm confused, I'm lost. Maybe it's I'm missing my loved one. I'm sad. I invite you to just place your hands wherever you're holding sadness or any area in your body where you're feeling a little stuck or heavy. Just place your hands wherever your hands go for a moment here. If you're comfortable, just take a moment and just repeat after me here. I witness my grief. I see my healing. I witness my grief and I see my healing. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, release your hands right now. Just bring your hands right here in front of you and just start to create a little warmth, a little fire, and a little friction here. We're going to take a moment and just bless ourselves here. We deserve it. I invite you to connect to some loving kindness mantras here. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I be content. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I be content. And then just take a moment and allow your hands to just hover over your head, your mind, your body, and just connect to those loving kindness mantras. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I be content. Observe your breath and feel where you're touching the earth, and almost allow your hands to just bless wherever they're hovering over your body. I invite you to bring your hands back up and just again bless your mind, your body, and your spirit. Just take a moment and bless yourself here. invite you to just take a moment and place your hands right here in front of you, almost as if you were cradling a child right here in front. Just breathe and say, I love you. I love you. Come back to just massaging your arms, your biceps and triceps here. I'm going to give us the space right now here to just bring your hands out in front of you as if you are holding an empty bowl. Maybe you're feeling a little empty inside. It's okay. I'm going to invite you within this space to close your eyes and reflect on something in your life that you appreciate. Maybe it's a resource or someone that you love. Maybe it's a pet. Maybe it's something in your life that you appreciate. With your eyes closed in your mind's eye, I invite you to see something specific about that. And when you see it, say yes and bring it into your heart. Yes. If you dedicated this practice to a beloved, I invite you to say their name again here out loud. Angel. And then reach your hands out in front of you and reflect on something about who they were that made your heart grow, that made your soul grow. Something about who they were that you will always cherish. See something specific about it. And when you see it, say yes and bring it into your heart. Yes. And just feel your heartbeat. Now I invite you to say your name out loud. Paul. And extend your hands out in front of you. I invite you, reflect on something that you appreciate about yourself. What's a part of who you are that you are grateful for? Just see something specific about it. And when you see it, just say yes and bring it into your heart. Yes. Laura has this move that I love, and what if we embodied this? It's this way where you sweep your hands around and then bring it into your heart. Keep going here. Sweeping around. And what do you need to bring into your heart here? What would nourish your heart? Gather that in here. And then allow your hands to come to prayer right at your heart. And now lift it up and let it go. And just say thank you. And then release your hands down. Keep going and allow the love and thanks right now to expand up and out. And then down. And just say thank you. Next time your hands are at your sides, just start to lift them up and down like wings of grace, up, and then slowly begin to fold forward and just start to let go. Allow the hands to come all the way down by the floor. Breathe into your lower back and just start to let your whole body feel heavy. And slowly, when you're ready, I invite you to just rise up one vertebra at a time. Take your time. When you're in a comfortable seated position, I invite you to bring your right hand to your left knee. And inhale, lengthen your head up. And then exhale and gaze over the left shoulder and twist. Again, inhale, exhale, twist. And then slowly bring your other hand to your other knee and inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. One more breath, inhale, exhale, twist. And slowly come back to center. I invite you to bring your left foot over your right knee. And hold right here and breathe, or just slowly begin to fold and breathe into your hip. Maybe release your hands down and just find that stretch. When you're ready, slowly rise back up. You can place both feet on the ground. And again, if you want to hold a pose a little longer, you're welcome to. Or bring your other foot to your opposite knee. You can hold here and breathe, or slowly begin to fold forward and breathe into your hip. When you're ready, slowly begin to rise back up and ground both feet in. And feel your sit bones grounded in your chair. Maybe move a little here from side to side and forward and back. Placing your hands on your belly. And take a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. Just feel your body heavy and soft. And bring your hands to your heart. Take a moment and feel your heart beat. Relax your hands down, palms down by your knees. Relax your shoulders. Relax your face. I'm going to give us just like a minute of silence here. All you have to do is breathe. Allow your hands to come to your belly and one hand to your heart. As you observe your breath, see if you can feel your heart beat. And then allow your hands to come to prayer right at your heart space. Relax the shoulders down and feel like a string is lifting the top part of your head up. I'm going to invite you to sing along with me if you know this song. It's something I used to sing as a child. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine and teacher within me honors that little light and teacher within you. Namaste. Well, I think that something I'm aware of is that, you know, sometimes in life things don't always happen the way that you planned them to. But I'm just recognizing you're still showing up and you're still moving through it. Perhaps recognize how you might be feeling a little differently than when you started this. I think that it's important for us to be patient with ourselves when we might be feeling a loss or struggle, or when we're feeling really hard on ourselves. So how can you be compassionate with yourself during this time? Thank you to Laura for allowing me to just share a little bit of this practice. If you're curious about it, it's griefyoga.com. You're welcome to find many different resources that are there. There's a free grief yoga chair class for parents who've lost a child, or there's this, you know, if you're wanting to go deeper within it, griefyoga.com is a great resource for you. So yeah, I love how people are just tuning in a little bit and saying how she needed that release and she's feeling it was helpful. And Mara talks about, thank you for this. I finally found this. I feel calmer than I did earlier today. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you. Much gratitude to you too. Thank you to Dr. Laura. Thank you, Mara. Sweet. Beautiful. Well, drink some water. And thank you for letting me share this with you today, and sending you all a lot of love. All right.